So let's talk about functions. And functions are the basic building blocks of our code, right? Without functions, nothing really happens. For example, the print line, this is a function. There's lots of different functions that already exist within Kotlin and within Android Studio. But specifically, we're going to be talking about how to write our own functions. So the easiest way to do this is we declare fun, right? Just like how we've declared val and var before. We're going to declare fun, follow that with a name. I'll call this my function, followed by two parentheses, and then a curly brace for the opening and a curly brace for the closing. So this is the writing of a basic function, right? Any code here is what's going to be executed, and then whenever we call it, so we call it by simply typing in this, we're saying, okay, execute that code. Other cases, for example, directly in Android Studio, we've had it where you press a button and it executes that function specifically. So there's actually a little bit more to a function than that. There's several components. I'm going to write this out as a comment. So there's the declaration, and then that's followed by the name, and then that is followed by a parentheses which has parameters, and then also a return, okay? And then that's followed by our curly braces. So the easiest way to think about this is that we're declaring my function, parameters are the input, return values are the output. So this is pretty, this can be a little complicated at first, but the way to think about it is like this. I'm going to say, instead of calling this function like this, let's do this function like this. So let's do a parameter, and parameters are written like this. They're written like name, colon, type, comma, name, colon, type, comma, name, colon, type, and however many parameters you have, that's how you would list them. So for example, we're going to have num A, and that type will be an integer. You can have num B, and that type will be an integer as well, and so on and so forth. So what this is saying is we're going to feed my function something that's a number and something that's also a number. We're going to feed it two numbers, num A and num B. And then in my function code, I'm going to add those two together. Okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to return that value back outside of my function, so the value of these two being added together. Let's declare this as an actual value. I'll say sum equals num A plus num B, and then we're going to return sum. So we're going to return that sum value out of it. Return values are declared like this, and we just say the type. So that's a parameter, and a return looks like that. So basically we're saying, here's the function called my function, and whenever we call this, I'm expecting you to give me a number, another number, and I'm going to give you a number after that. So I'm going to say, let's do a call here where we're going to say print my function, and I'll say num A is equal to 5, and num B is equal to 10. What do you think it's going to print out of this? Let's run it and see what happens. 15. So what it's saying is print the value of my function, of this function, what is returned out from it. Let's do something a little bit different. Let's add, instead of returning an int, we'll return a string. So we have this value of sum, number A plus number B, and let's write another value like, or here, you know what, we can just return directly. We can say return the answer is, and then let's use that $ sum. Okay, so we're saying the answer is sum. So now whenever I run this, I'm going to feed this a number, so let's do 100, and let's feed another number that's 22. It's going to add those two together, and it's going to say the answer is this. That's what it's going to print. Let's run it, and there's our value. The answer is 122, so it prints it very clearly for us just with one simple line of code. So you're going to see functions a lot that are taking in multiple things. And in fact, we've done functions with parameters before with view and then a capital view, right? We're declaring view as something that we're outputting that function to so that it can be accessed by a button. But regardless, this is the basic structure of a function. It's the function, the fun declaration, followed by the name, followed by parameters, followed by the return type, so what you want to get out of it, and then followed by the actual code.